Hello there, my friend, and welcome to another Psalms Slow Flow practice. Today we are going to be focusing on Psalm 40 for our scripture, and we're just going to be moving through a gentle flow. We will be giving some extra attention to the neck, shoulders, chest, just really trying to open up through the upper body and the chest in particular. So to start, I would love to invite you to join me in a seated position, whatever variation of a seated position feels best for you. So if taking a cross-legged seat feels good, feel free to start there. Otherwise, you can adjust. If you want to slide a pillow or a block underneath your glutes, you can do that. You can also take your legs out in front of you. Just make yourself comfortable. And once you've found your way to that comfortable position, let's take a deep breath in through the nose, growing taller through the spine. And then exhale, let the eyes close. Feel the shoulders drop down from the ears. Feel the face relax. And again, we take an inhale. Exhale. One more time all together, in through the nose. Out through the mouth. And then just let your breath keep going at a natural rhythm, but keeping those breaths really intentional, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you do that, I'm going to go ahead and read this psalm to you. And I'm going to read the full thing. It's quite long, but I want you to just sit here focusing on your breath and listening to these words, noticing what stands out to you, and maybe trying to pull a line of scripture or a word that you can carry with you throughout the rest of this practice. So this is Psalm 40. I waited patiently for the Lord. He inclined to me and heard my cry. He drew me up from the pit of destruction, out of the miry bog, and set my feet upon a rock, making my steps secure. He put a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to our God. Many will see and fear and put their trust in the Lord. Blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust, who does not turn to the proud, to those who go astray after a lie. You have multiplied, O Lord my God, your wondrous deeds and your thoughts toward us. None can compare with you. I will proclaim and tell of them, yet they are more than can be told. In sacrifice and offering you have not delighted, but you have given me an open ear. Burnt offering and sin offering you have not required. Then I said, Behold, I have come. In the scroll of the book it is written of me, I delight to do your will, O my God. Your law is within my heart. I have told the glad news of deliverance in the great congregation. Behold, I have not restrained my lips, as you know, O Lord. I have not hidden your deliverance within my heart. I have spoken of your faithfulness and your salvation. I have not concealed your steadfast love and your faithfulness from the great congregation. As for you, O Lord, you will not restrain your mercy from me. Your steadfast love and your faithfulness will ever preserve me. For evils have encompassed me beyond number. My iniquities have overtaken me, and I cannot see. They are more than the hairs of my head. My heart fails me. Be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. Let those be put to shame and disappointed altogether who seek to snatch away my life. Let those be turned back and brought to dishonor who delight in my hurt. Let those be appalled because of their shame who say to me, Ah, ah. But may all who seek you rejoice and be glad in you. May those who love your salvation say continually, Great is the Lord. As for me, I am poor and needy, but the Lord takes thought for me. You are my help and my deliverer. Do not delay, O my God. Like I said, it's a longer piece of scripture than we normally use for our practices. But in that, I just hear this crying out to the Lord, a mix of both need and asking, and also worship and gratitude. And I think that that really should be the posture of our heart, always aware of our need for the Lord and always coming back to the good things that He has done for us. And so as we move through this practice, just sort of sit with those things. Where do you need the Lord? Where are you grateful for Him? And maybe those areas are even the same thing. But just take some time to humble yourself before God and allow Him to speak to you as we move, as we breathe, and just trusting that when you make time for Him and you make space for Him in your life, that He will always honor that. So give yourself a couple more deep breaths right here, and then we'll get started with our movement for today. Keeping your eyes closed, we'll just begin by moving our head to the right, taking nice big circles with the neck, letting the chin drop toward the chest, and then up to the sky. Switch directions. Use your breath inhaling as you gaze up and exhaling as your chin comes down. And when your head is back at neutral, sit up nice and tall. Open the eyes as you inhale, reach the fingertips to the sky, and then take the fingers behind the head. Press the elbows back behind you as you gaze to the sky. Just holding here, starting to open through the chest. And then exhale, just come back to a neutral spine. Bring the elbows together in front of the eyes. And then again, we'll inhale, press the elbows back, lift the chest, gaze to the sky. 3 more times like that. Exhale, neutral spine, core engages, elbows together. Inhale, try to press the elbows a little further back each time. Exhale. Last one. Exhale. And then keep the spine neutral. Open the elbows back out to the sides. Reach the arms out in opposite directions. Pull the shoulders down from the ears. Turn the palms up and just flex through the hands so you're pressing out through the heel of the hand. Some of you might not feel much of a stretch here, but for others it can be really intense. You can feel a stretch all through the forearm. I feel it in the palms of my hand, even out through my fingertips. So I just want you to breathe here, trying to pull the fingers back toward your body as you press out through the heel. Gently release that, flipping the palms back down toward the floor. And we'll exhale as the left hand comes to the mat. Right fingertips reach overhead. Lengthen here, nice deep breaths. Try to gaze up toward the sky. On an inhale, come back through center and switch sides. Exhale, right hand down, lengthen through the side body. Inhale back to center. Exhale, the hands will come down to the knees, wrapping around the front of the knee, and we'll just move through cat-cow. So inhale, arch the back and gaze up. Exhale, chin to chest, round through the spine. 2 more times, inhale, up. Exhale, round. Inhale, up. Exhale, round. Inhale, sitting up nice and tall. If you're not in a cross-legged seat, go ahead and meet me here, bringing to stack one ankle in front of the other, fingertips down on the floor. I'm just gonna walk the hands out away from you, folding forward here, gently letting the body drop down to the forearms, or maybe the forehead comes toward the floor. Just breathe here. And as you rest here in this posture, bring that scripture back into your mind. Maybe there was a word or a phrase that stood out to you. Otherwise, just sit with that thought of where do you need the Lord, and where do you need to offer Him gratitude and worship? Inhale to slowly sit up as you walk the fingertips back toward the shins. we're going to take a gentle twist here. So shifting slightly, we're going to take the left foot, plant it on the outside of the right thigh. You want to make sure that your sit bones are even on the ground. And then draw the knee in toward the chest, wrapping the elbow around the knee and twisting here. Again, we want to be gentle with this as we're at the beginning of our practice, so don't push too far. Just trying to work to open the spine in all these different directions. So we arch and we round, we go side to side, and now we're twisting. Slowly release back to center. And we'll switch sides, just taking the opposite leg to the outside of the thigh. Wrap with the elbow, sit up tall and find that twist. Use your breath to help keep your mind and your body connected. Just allowing your breath to be steady, nice deep inhales and exhales. Being fully present in this space. Release back to center, uncross the legs, and we're going to find our way to child's pose. So make your way there however you need to. And we'll start with the toes together, knees apart, sit the hips back on the heels, walk the fingertips out away from you, and lower the chest and the forehead down toward the floor. Again, taking a couple of deep breaths in this posture. Take 2 more deep breaths here. And then keeping your hands where they're at, we'll just shift the knees so that the knees are pointing straight forward. And then we're going to move through, shifting the weight up to tabletop, arching through the back, and then send the hips back toward the heels for child's pose. So just moving freely here, arching and rounding through the spine. There's not really a right or a wrong way to do this. You're just trying to listen to your body. And again, keep waking up the spine. Make sure to try and go both directions with your circles. Start noticing the core muscles engaging and relaxing. If it feels good for you, you can start trying to move through upward facing dog, drop the hips, and send them back. Take a couple more seconds here. And then when you're ready, find your way to tabletop. Hands right underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Take the right foot back behind you, toes are on the ground. We're going to take a big inhale through the nose, fill the belly with air. And then exhale, lift the belly button up toward the spine, create a little pocket of space between the shoulders. So you're really pressing everything away from the floor. And then keep that engagement in the belly. Stay lifted here as you keep breathing. Maybe letting that right foot float up off the floor. Try to keep the hips nice and square toward the mat. Sometimes our tendency is to open that hip, but we really want to keep it square right here. Keep that breath going. Feel that core working. Try to lengthen through that lifted leg just a little bit more. Holding for 3, 2, 1. And then from here, take the right leg out to the side. I'm going to have to adjust a little bit. You want to plant it on the floor. I'll show you on this leg so you can see leg is out to the side, foot is flat on the floor. And then from here, we're going to inhale, reach the right fingertips up to the sky. And then exhale, tuck the right arm underneath the left side of the body. So you should feel a stretch in the inner thigh of the right foot and then also through the upper body. Breathe here. Inhale, lift back up to the sky. One more time, exhale, tuck. Really press into the outside of that right foot, rooting you down into the mat. Inhale, reach to the sky. Exhale, the right hand comes down to the floor. And then from here, we're going to shift our weight back toward the left heel and then shift it forward. You can either just come to neutral, or if you want to walk the hands out a little further, you can drop the hips all the way down toward upward facing dog with that foot out to the side. So we shift back almost like child's pose, but with one leg extended. And we shift forward. Keep moving just like that. Really working through the hips and the low back here. Take one more time. And then find your way back to neutral. Bring that right leg underneath the body so that we're back in our normal tabletop. Hands under shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And we're going to switch sides. Left foot goes back behind you. Let's start by taking a big inhale. Feel the belly relax down toward the floor as it fills with air. And then exhale, lift the belly up. Create space between the shoulder blades. Press down into the floor. And then maybe that left foot wants to float up off the mat and lengthen to reach back behind you. Keep those hips squared to the floor. Keep pressing away from the mat. Lower belly is engaged. Lengthen the left leg a little bit more. You should feel your glute and hamstring of that lifted leg firing up. Keep breathing here. Holding 3, 2, 1, and then take that left foot over to the side. Plant it down on the floor. We inhale the left fingertips up to the sky. And then exhale, twist and tuck. I apologize if part of my legs are getting cut off in the video. Hopefully you're able to follow along with what I'm doing. Inhale, come back, reach to the sky. Exhale, tuck. Again, hold here. Feel that stretch in the inner thigh and in the upper body. Inhale, back to center. Reach to the sky one more time. Exhale, the hand comes down to the mat, and we'll start that rocking forward and backward. So again, the hips come back toward the heel, and then we shift forward, maybe walking the hands away from us so that we can lower the hips. Send it back and forward. Move at your own pace, going as far into the movement as feels comfortable for you. Don't push it too far. Just listen to your own body. One more time, we send the hips back. We bring them forward. And then we settle back into our neutral tabletop. Left leg comes underneath the body. And from here, we're going to tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, and find your way to downward facing dog. You can start walking out through the feet here. Gently bending one knee and then the other, pressing the heels down to the floor. And then keep that walking movement going as you walk your feet all the way up to the top of your mat. Taking a gentle forward fold, knees bent, let the chest hang down over the thighs. Just breathe here, bending the knees as much as you need to. On an inhale, we'll find a halfway lift, so straighten through the legs, nice flat back, lift that belly up. Exhale, fold. 2 more times, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. And this time we'll plant the hands onto the floor, step the feet back to a high plank. Holding here for just a moment, feel those inner thighs working, feel that belly lifting. And think about that same idea of pressing away from the floor, creating space between the shoulder blades. Lift the belly away from the ground. And then you can either stay on the toes or you can take it down to the knees as we gently lower all the way down to the belly. Once you're there, we're going to take our hands to the outside edges of our mat. So our elbows are pointing up toward the sky, palms are pressing into the floor. We'll inhale, lift up through the chest. Try to relax the glutes. Try to really open through the collarbone. Exhale, lower the chest down. 2 more times, inhale, lift up. Don't press it too far. You can keep a bend in the elbows so that you're not pressing it into your low back. We'll exhale, come down. 1 more time like that, inhale up. And exhale, lower down. Take a moment here, and then we're going to do that similar movement, but just adding a little bit of a twist. So pressing into the floor, we inhale, lift up through the chest. And then this time as we exhale, we'll twist through the upper body as if we're trying to touch the front of the right shoulder down to the center of our mat. You can rest your forehead down on the floor. Try to keep both elbows pointing toward the sky. You'll feel a nice big stretch in that right shoulder through the chest. Breathe into it. And then inhale, lift back up, coming to center. And switch sides, this time placing the front of the left shoulder down to the center of your mat. Relax the forehead and breathe into the stretch. Inhale to lift up, coming back through center. Exhale, lower the chest down straight. And then slide the hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes, press the knees into the floor, and then lift up through modified plank and press it back to child's pose. 3 deep breaths here in child's pose. Let yourself relax. Come back to your breath and come back to the intention of this practice. Just inviting the Lord to speak, or using this as a space for you to speak to Him, sharing whatever it is that's on your heart today. When you're ready, we'll find our way back to our downward facing dog. Bring those hips to the sky, pressing both heels down toward the floor, but we can bend the knees as much as we need to, trying to lift the hips to the sky. Let your head relax so that your gaze is between your knees. Just breathing here. On your next inhale, we'll take the right foot up toward the sky, bending the knee, opening through the hip to come into scorpion. Feel the stretch into the hip, into the quad, maybe into the torso. And then straighten back out through that top leg. And exhale, plant the right foot between the hands. And now from here, keep the right foot pointing forward. Bring both hands to the inside of the right foot. And then start to walk them toward the back of your mat as you pivot through the hips. Let the right foot shift to be on an angle. And then you can either hold right here, or we'll exhale as we drop the hips down toward that right heel. You can flex the back foot, trying to open through the inner thighs. So imagine you're pressing that right knee back, breathing here. Again, if this stretch is too much, if it doesn't feel comfortable for you, you can lift out of it, just pressing into that right leg, or you're welcome to just choose any other stretch that feels good for you. Listen to your body here. One more breath here. And then from wherever you're at, we're gonna lift up and meet together in a wide A. So both toes are pointing toward the side of the mat. Let the chest relax down toward the thighs. Let the weight drop out of the crown of the head, relaxing the neck. If you'd like to, you're welcome to add a twist. Reaching opposite hand to opposite ankle, and then lifting up toward the sky. Switch sides. Release that hand back down to the mat. And from wherever you're at, we're going to turn the toes out, heels in, bend the knees, lift the chest so we land in a sumo squat. We're just going to take 3 deep breaths here. Inhale, straighten through the legs, reach out on a diagonal with the arms, and then exhale, lower down. 2 more times. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lower. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lower. And now I want you to pivot toward the back of your mat. Press those hands down into the floor and step back to a downward facing dog, facing the back of your mat. Come back into that strong alignment for down dog. We'll take 3 breaths here. On an inhale, bring the left foot to the sky. Bend the knee and open through the hip, finding scorpion. Really trying to rotate through the hips, but keeping the weight even in both of the hands. Straighten back out through that left leg. And exhale, plant the left foot between the hands. And then again, we bring both hands to the inside of the foot. We start to walk toward the back of the mat as the feet pivot. And we either keep the hips lifted or we sink them down toward the heel, flexing the opposite foot. Breathe here, trying to open through the inner thighs. Just a reminder that you're welcome to choose a different posture if this one doesn't feel good for you. 1 more breath here. And then we press down into the floor to lift up, come back to that wide open A. And this time I want to invite you to reach your fingertips through the legs if possible. Another option is to take the hands around the calves or down around the back of the heel. Or again, you can reach them through the legs, pressing the palms into the floor and bending the elbows to help draw the chest closer to the thighs. Wherever you're at, release back to center, lift the chest, turn those toes out, bend the knees. We're coming back to our sumo squat, hands up to the sky, chest nice and tall 3 times. Inhale, straighten and reach. Exhale, bend. 2 more, inhale up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Rotate back toward the original top of your mat. Step the back foot to meet the front, inhaling to mountain. Exhale, hands come behind the glutes. Interlace the fingers, squeeze the palms together. Bend into the knees and start to fold forward, letting the hands come overhead, maybe up toward the sky, maybe a little bit further. Try to keep squeezing the palms together. This will help keep the shoulders away from the ears so that we don't crunch into the neck. But we just want to try to find a nice stretch through the chest here. If you've lost connection with your breath, just bring your focus back to that. Slowly start to lower the hands back toward the glutes. Lift up through the chest and then drop the hands to the floor and sit down on the heels, eventually shifting your weight back onto your glutes. So you're sitting up nice and tall, facing the top of your mat, hands behind the hips. And from here, we'll move into a figure 4 stretch. So the right heel comes over the left knee and try to walk the chest closer to the shin. If this doesn't feel good, you can just take it all the way down to the floor into a reclined figure 4. Same position with the legs. We're just either down on the floor or we're sitting up nice and tall. Use the hands to press the chest forward if you're in that seated option. Breathe here. Wherever you're at, we'll switch sides. Left ankle over the right knee. And then again, trying to work to bring the shin and the chest closer together while keeping a nice flat back. Deep breaths into the stretch. One more breath here. Slowly release out of that from wherever you're at. And if you're on the floor, come join us again in a seated posture. We're going to take one last stretch in the chest before we head to the floor. So hands are behind us, fingertips pointing forward. Take a slight bend in the elbows and try to squeeze the elbows together behind you so that you start flattening the collarbone and opening through the chest. And then from here, we're going to slide our hips closer to our heels, further away from our fingertips. Open through the chest even more, like you're trying to arch the back, and just breathe here. If you're someone who spends a lot of time sitting at a desk or bending over, spending time on your phone, a lot of us spend time in this kind of rounded upper body position, and so we're trying to reverse that, opening through the chest. It can be a really intense stretch through the shoulders. So just breathe into it. One more breath here. Go ahead and slide your hips back toward your fingertips. We've got one more seated posture. Straighten those legs out in front of you. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Fingertips reach to the sky. And then exhale, start to hinge at the hips, reaching forward. Nice flat back as you head into your forward fold. Fingertips are working to grab maybe behind the thighs, the knees, the calves, or down toward the feet. Try to bring the chest as close to the thighs as possible. And then once you're there, you can relax the chin into the chest. We're going to hold here for 5 deep breaths. So go to the depth that feels comfortable for you and use the breath to help you settle into the stretch. Three more breaths. One more. And then inhale, lift up from that position. Bend the knees, plant the feet flat on the floor, slide the hands behind the thighs, roll your way down to your mat, and take the knees into the chest for a little squeeze. Maybe rocking side to side, massaging that lower back on the floor. Find stillness. And then inhale as the toes come toward the sky. We'll just take a moment to point through the toes and then flex, point, and flex. One more time, we point and flex. And then let's take some circles, just like you're drawing little circles on the ceiling with your toes. Switch directions. And come back to stillness. Final posture here. We'll take happy baby as the hands reach toward the outside edges of the feet. Pull the knees down toward the floor. And make sure you're pressing your lower back down into the mat so that we're lengthening there. 5 deep breaths right here. Let your mind be fully present and relaxed in this space. Just noticing the sensations that are happening in your body. Checking in with your emotions. Not trying to do anything about it, but just notice it. And when you're ready, we'll release the feet, draw the knees into the chest, one last squeeze. And then you can reach the heels out away from you on the floor, settling into your final relaxation. Palms turned up toward the sky, giving a bit of space between all of your limbs. So having a bit of space between the legs, between the arms and the legs. Try to let go of any tension or tightness that you might be holding in your body. Just fully relax into the floor. And as you hold here, we're going to finish with one final exercise. It's a mental exercise, not a physical one, so don't worry, you can be relaxed here. But I just want you to think of one area where you need the Lord. Identify what that is, and then just take a couple of deep breaths, just opening your heart to invite Him into that space, giving yourself permission to let go of the pressure to do it all, trusting Him. And then I want you to think of one area where you want to express gratitude to the Lord, thanking Him for what He has given you, for what He has done, for who He is. Whatever feels on your heart, just express that gratitude, thanking Him through prayer. And once you're finished expressing that gratitude, give yourself space to be quiet and to be still, just listening for the Lord's voice, seeing if there's anything that He has to say to you today. Use your breath to help keep your mind focused. And then I'm going to close our practice with one line from that psalm. Again, that's Psalm 40, and this is verse 16. It says, "But may all who seek you rejoice and be glad in you. May those who love your salvation say continually, 'Great is the Lord.'" And so whatever you have in store for the rest of your day, the rest of your week, allow that to be the posture of your heart. Great is the Lord. Thank you so much for making time to join me for this practice today. I hope that it was restful for your body and your mind. Feel free to stay here in that final posture as long as you would like. But I really appreciate you being here, and I'm so looking forward to practicing with you again soon.